It's a new year, and with it, I have a revitalized sense of unshakable optimism and certainty that this year, Doug becomes a podcast person. What do you think, Brandon?
I doubt it.
Yeah, you're probably right. This is our theme song.
Doug's just a normal guy, still has his own, but he doesn't know why. Now the writing's on the wall. It's time he left the past, gonna listen to his first podcast. We know he's gonna have a ball. Interview celebrities, politics and all comedy. We'll make them listen to it all. Now here's Doug.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Podiverse, welcome back for yet another episode of Making Doug Listen to Podcasts, the show that's part podcast review and part long-form experiment, where we force my brother-in-law to listen to podcasts and then talk about them. I'm here, as always, with my fearless co-host.
I have a lot of fears, actually. That's just not accurate.
That's true.
But I am still Brandon.
You are Brandon, and I got to say, you're a hero for being here in spite of all your crippling fears.
I have so many anxieties, I can't even describe it. But,
That's actually true.
Talking to a microphone is not one of them.
Thank God it's not, because the world would be deprived of this.
So less rich.
I want to dive into your fears, though.
That's Doug, everybody.
That's Doug, everybody.
Sorry. Jumping the gun, am I?
I mean...
No, Doug, this is your
What up,
show.
everybody?
You jump it. Doug, how are you?
I'm excellent. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, we're a couple weeks into the new year. And Happy New Year to all of our listeners from us here at the whole MDLT podcast family. Now, in just a minute or two, we're going to jump into this week's podcast. But before we rush headlong into the future, let's take a moment to slow down. Let's reflect. It's a new year. It seems like it's a good time to maybe take stock of things, back up, take a breather for a minute. And with that in mind, Doug, just a couple weeks ago, we had a real success with you, and that's a rarity. And it was a podcast. Well, you're a discerning critic of podcasts. You're new to the genre, and you come to us with a very open and honest opinion. But you really liked Doughboys.
Yes.
And we asked you the obvious question, which is, are you going to listen anymore? And you suggested, like with anything one likes, that you might. I mean, there's lots of episodes there to go dive into. So this week, for the first week, we're going to have a new segment called Checking In with Doug. There may be a theme song when this airs. I don't know. Doug, did you go and listen to any other episodes of Doughboys? You loved it. Did you go back and dip your toes in there?
You know, I truly did love it, and I look forward to dipping my toes in there someday. But nope, didn't do it.
Okay. So maybe a resolution for the new year.
No.
Well, you know,
Nope. Well, guys, that's been trademark segment Checking In with Doug.
Well, one of the things I think is that, like, for me, it became a sort of habit forming to check my podcast, because I have all of them loaded up into one app. And so I pull down and it refreshes and I go, oh, there's some new content now. And I'll see what it is on all these different apps that I have subscribed to. Do you ever, like, maybe if you every Monday morning went in and went, oh, I wonder what content is available. I think one of the things that helps with anything is building a routine. Like, if it was TGIF, I'd know that I got Family Matters waiting for me. I knew there'd be a new episode.
Right.
Steve Urkel and the gang. And then
so now it's
I'd be
almost
drawn to it.
Pavlovian, you're saying.
Exactly. For me,
the day arrives and you go, I got to check.
Every day when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is refresh all my pods and see what's been updated.
Right, just refreshing them pods.
Yeah. You got to refresh them pods. It's like the lottery for me, I got a brand new criminal. I got a brand new serial.
Yeah. I could tell you that, one of the apps that I was forced to download was Stitcher.
Right.
And Stitcher kindly sends me updates.
Notifications,
which I, of course, immediately turned off.
Okay.
Because I don't want the notifications.
Should I be the one who's sending you the notifications? Like, hey, Doug, check out this new pod.
I think we're going to have to. He's
you
turning
could,
them
but
off
I might
on
block
Stitcher.
You.
Exactly.
I'd have to block you as well.
I'm fine with that.
In future
I know where you live.
episodes, Doug will be saying, and then I started getting these regular notifications from Brandon, and I just had to turn them off.
And then I started getting visits from him at my door.
Right.
And I had to just pretend like I wasn't home.
That's how I get my podcast. Brandon just comes by and
just-
acts them out for me.
There you go.
Enthusiastically.
Yeah. See, that if you were going to come by and act out podcasts for me, I'd probably look forward to that.
Oh,
every
shit.
day. Yeah.
Listen, sometimes I have long stretches where I am not working on a show.
That could be like a whole new side hustle.
That's true. I'm going to tell you something right now that this has come up. Brandon, I would want, and I'm saying this for our listeners to hear, and for two of my closest friends to hold me to it. I will 100% pay you $20 an hour. It's above minimum wage, so don't balk at it. It's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
To choose one podcast a week that I'm not currently listening to and come and act it out for me. Now, I don't mean tell me about it in a couple sentences.
No, I
I
understand.
want my hour for my $20.
Okay.
But that would be, to me, entertaining as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be annoying. I would love it.
I would really like to do that, but we'd have to figure out how to really present it. I want to go large, John.
Right.
I'm not a man who's just going to like sit around while you're watching television and annoy you. We'd have to like build a little stage.
Sure.
Maybe I'd
I'm
have
picturing
puppets.
like C-3PO when he's telling the Ewoks and he's doing all the voices
Yes.
of Darth Vader. That's kind of what I'm picturing.
I could do that.
Where I'm basically one of the Ewoks.
And
is what I'm
like
saying.
what I still need to eat. I think this could work. But here's the thing: is I would demand that Doug would be a part of it. I want to play to at least both of you.
Sure. Hey, if Doug's willing to throw in 20, you'd be making 40 an hour.
$40 an hour.
Oh, wait, we can't just split the 20?
Doug's so cheap.
I know,
Isn't he?
right? What a miser!
I know, but
He went through the Christmas season. He's probably hard up for cash.
That's true. Right after the holidays, Doug. I have to tell you though, I do like that idea of saving $10 per week. That's
All right,
not a bad
we'll
idea.
table
I
this.
was saying,
we'll table this.
You
We'll
jumped
talk
the
about
gun
more of it
way
later.
too early on how much we were paying. Because he was in
Doug,
for
I was
$20.
excited. I've always been a penny wise, pound foolish type of guy. Actually, I've just been pound foolish. Well, Doug, that was a fun little dip into what may come in this year. And also,
Exciting.
since this show is aspirational, you said maybe you'll listen to one of these. It is for me. It is for me.
It's
Doug.
for us, yeah.
It is for us.
I think for the two of us, we're aspiring to make Doug a person who actually listens to podcasts.
Absolutely.
And we
Wouldn't it be
failed.
Wait, but
constantly.
wouldn't it be
Yeah, we have, but
hilarious
we're still in the early days here.
I'm just saying, though, like maybe 4 months from now, I finally just revealed that I've been listening to podcasts like
Why would you
all
do that?
along and just never would cop to it in front of you guys.
He's like that guy that hit his head in the pool and then learned to play piano.
Yeah, all of a sudden he comes in and he can just
He's
play
a
us
savant.
podcasts.
He's a podcast savant.
He has like 15 iPhones all set up and he's just playing them in
Right.
sequence.
It's
Just-
like what's the movie with Tom Cruise where they're doing
Vanilla
the
Sky?
pre-crimes?
Oh no, Minority Report. Yes,
Exactly.
He's
Doug's
got-
just moving podcasts around with like haptic gloves. Oh man, I love that idea. Well, we've painted a bit of a picture for the folks at home, but guys, that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to entertain you. We're
Wait a
here
second,
to
John.
stick to. Oh, I'm sorry.
You fucked up.
Wait a minute. That's what's been wrong with all
Well.
of these episodes.
Hey, you know what?
I
New
know-
year, new show.
That's
I think
true.
now is the
You know what?
time.
We're gonna change it up, right?
2019. Let's be entertaining.
Entertaining.
people
Maybe
happy.
I'll be a little less serious.
God, that would be nice.
I
Would it
don't
be
think
nice?
that's ever going to happen.
I
It
don't
could
think so
happen.
either, but it would be
It could
nice.
happen.
It would be nice.
It would probably happen before I start listening to podcasts on a regular basis.
Well, you know what? Now we got a notification system of me going to your house and throwing rocks through your window.
Wow, now it's rocks.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah, I don't remember that
I'm just,
either.
listen, I'm
Really?
spitballing, guys, or rock throwing, as I like to
All
call
right.
it.
Well,
Okay.
for 2019, Doug's going to be more serious. Brandon's not
No,
going to yell
less
as
serious.
much.
That's not true.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Doug, do not be more
I
serious.
know, really. Any more serious?
John, I'm going to yell.
And there we. Well, guys, if you had any question as to whether the show was going to change into something unrecognizable for the new year, it has not. The new year has truly just begun. Brandon has just maxed out the audio equipment.
Hell yeah.
All right, so folks, as any of you who listened last week and pay attention to what we say, notice that this week we were listening to the Ira Glass public radio hit of, it's hard to believe this, but of 20 years now.
Yeah.
Which, like some of the other shows we've listened to, began as a radio program and is now both a podcast and is still, of course, a radio program. And that is This American Life. So
No,
unless,
wait.
yes, Doug.
Before we jump into This American Life and hilarity ensues.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I had a funny little recap of last week, and I think it sums up probably me and my life, my marriage, really succinctly.
Okay.
So every week, after the recording, I always discuss it with Candace, my wife.
Okay.
You wake her up, like you come home, because we record these
Sometimes
pretty late.
we do.
You
Sometimes,
shake her
but
awake,
usually
and you're like,
it's in the morning. We'll talk about
okay.
it. She's a fan and
Right.
a listener of the
That's nice.
podcast, so she likes to know what's going on. She's also a fan of mine, so that's
Well,
nice too.
Oh, that is
Double
sweet.
feature.
And of you guys too.
Oh,
so that's
really nice.
I mean, hopefully her brother she likes.
Nah, she could take her or leave me.
Yeah, I mean, she's obligated.
No, I think he just means as a podcast personality.
Got it.
As an actual human being, not a fan.
No way.
No.
Impossible.
But so last week we briefly touched on crushes, and I think you guys know.
Because
I'm
last
sure.
week
I
was
think,
Boners of the Heart.
right, and I think our fans have probably caught on to the fact that I just don't do well under pressure.
No.
And I don't know. It appears to be this setting because in my normal life, in everyday life,
Work
I do
and
extremely
family.
well under pressure.
Right,
But
yeah.
when you guys put me on the spot with a impromptu question, I freeze up. My brain just shuts down, which
Which is why
probably
you're
happens a lot. But
Yeah.
it happens.
Now, a lot of people
So-
don't know in Doug's day job, Doug pays the bills, he is a hostage negotiator.
And
for
bomb
the
diffuser.
LAPD. Yes, and both.
Hostage
And never
negotiator,
freeze
bomb
up.
diffuser.
Nope, he's very calm,
Cool,
and collected.
calm, collected.
All
But
right, so
apparently-
we are putting you, I always say this, we're putting you on the hot seat. We're
Right.
giving you the difficult questions.
And not like that was a difficult question. But truly, when you asked me, my brain just froze, and I immediately, just kind of went blank and thought, I can't think of one female, especially
Right.
celebrity when we were talking in that regard.
Sure.
So when Candy
So you
and I-
weren't just being reticent. You really could
I really
not.
couldn't. I mean, it was
Okay.
like just complete blank. So, of course, the next morning I'm telling Candy about the show, and I said, yeah, and told her about the horrible song I had to sing, which was horrible, and I truly hope it doesn't actually make it into the podcast, even though I know it will. And then I said, and then they asked me about who my crush was, and I said I couldn't think of anything. And of course, Candy immediately said, well, didn't you say Lucy Liu? I'm like, shit, Lucy Liu.
Sure.
I said, yeah, no, I absolutely didn't, babe. I couldn't think of anyone. And she's like, Gillian Anderson? I said, what about, the people that, she said, I can't believe, and she actually got annoyed with me that I couldn't think
Right.
of the crush that, she's apparently aware
She's
that I
also
have a crush
very
on.
aware of your crushes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that sums up, like I said, the relationship, all of that, because I am one of those people who will, at a restaurant, go, babe, do I like this? Before
Right.
I eat something.
How old
Oh
am
my
I?
Yeah.
That's
Am I
such
clean?
a married guy thing.
it
Like,
is, and
what
I'm-
do I like here?
Right.
And going to your wife for
Yeah,
that.
and I'm happy with that arrangement and
Right.
that fact, that reality. But I just thought it was funny because she was just so just not like mad, but just annoyed that really you couldn't think of one person, even
Sure.
especially somebody who apparently I have at least at some point mentioned to her that I if I had a crush on somebody, Lucy Liu would be one.
Sure. Right.
And so I just found it funny that I thought, yeah, that really does sum me up. So
Is there
listeners, you
anything
go.
Brandon and I can do to make this a
Does
warmer,
he-
more receptive environment for you?
Do you have low grade memory issues? Are we
Well, I
worried
think-
about you?
Well, I don't know if we're worried about me, but I think
think
it's
I am.
apparent that I have some sort of memory issues.
Can't
Well,
remember your birthday.
We may
How old
find
you are?
out during our special mini Christmas episode.
Yes.
There was that time I jumped into a pool, I hit my head.
I mean, I am concerned about your memory, but your piano playing is amazing now, Doug.
True story.
Absolutely. That I would never question. So this week, of course, it is This American Life. Now, we listened to 2 episodes. We listened to a very early episode. So early, it was just a radio show at that time because there was barely an internet and there was certainly nothing called a podcast. That was the August 20th, 1998 episode called Notes on Camp. And then we listened to a much later episode right before the historic presidential election of 2016, and that was an October 28th episode called Will I Know Anyone at This Party? Now, we're going to jump into both those episodes, into This American Life in general, and of course into its now iconic host, Ira Glass. But before we do, Brandon, what are the questions we ask every week, whether we want to or not?
Hey, Doug, would you listen to this podcast?
I listened at work. It was definitely like a long. I think both of them are fairly long episodes.
They're hour
so-
long. They're
Yeah,
not too long.
So it wasn't during lunch. It was actually just while working.
Okay. But did you find that did it change your work pace or the way that you viewed the world? Were you looking around at your coworkers and thinking through an Ira Glass style lens? Through an Ira looking glass?
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Booyah!
Brandon, pro right there.
No, it didn't affect me in that way.
Okay.
I think it's interesting because obviously, like you do every week, you make me guess